I wanted to go over the reason why I went out and got this guy, SP-404 MkII. To be specific, I traded down for this. Traded my MPC One as well as my circuit rhythm. I wasn't really using circuit rhythm. That was an experiment just for a few months just to see whether or not I liked it. It is what it is. The MPC One wasn't getting used as much because I had the Octatrack. And yes, I went through that period where I didn't have the Octatrack and I started to use the MPC One. Again, the workflow is great on the MPC One. I'll state that. There's so many ins and outs to how granular you could get with the modifications you can make to a beat or sculpting a sound. The sampling capabilities are amazing. Sound quality, pretty great. Looper functionality, that was cool. I think, you know, the thing with the MPC One, it's a brain, right? And when I would have the MPC One and then I would have the Octatrack, it was like having two brains. But two brains doesn't necessarily make for a better situation. Having one brain, I feel, as well as a bunch of other complementary boxes, is more efficient. When trying to use the MPC and the Octatrack together, fine, it was great. You know, I could certainly run the MPC into the Octatrack while having the Octatrack control the clock of the MPC, which is cool. You can even control countless MIDI, about 8 MIDI tracks on the MPC if you got it set up correctly, but I always found it a little bit buggy with it. I'll actually give a little background as to how I even got the MPC One. Initially, the MPC One was a dig attack, you know, in my workflow. It's actually funny because this comes full circle. If you've been on my channel for the past 4 or 5 years, 4 years, I don't know, something like that. My first DAWless piece was the Sp404 SX, and I saw it. There was like an Sp404 craze going on in the late 2010s, and so I got into, you know, it kind of was like, hey, this is pretty cool. You could make beats off the computer, because, you know, before that, and I know that, you know, making beats off the computer is not new. Obviously, that's how things were done before computers. But me being a youngster, relatively young, I grew up making beats in Logic Pro, so this was just a completely different space. And because I had the job to, you know, enable my access to certain tools, you know, I had the resources, so I started to invest in it. But I got a Sp404 MkII, and then I also started off with the mini log my girlfriend got me, which was cool. It was a great pair. And then I even, you know, somebody hooked me up with the RY30, RY11 Yamaha. And at one point early on, I had a Volca drum. You know, I've been like swapping out pieces, figuring out the setup and everything. But I think initially when I got the Sp404 MkII, I was already sort of aware of Digitact and Digatone and somewhat the Octatrack from the standpoint of how I came across these boxes were actually on social media. J Electronica had posted these two boxes, the Electron Digitac and Electron Digatone, and I remember seeing those. I was like, what are these? And I saw people posting with these boxes, and it was just like, huh, pretty cool. I've never heard sounds like this before. So I started to dibble and dabble in hardware, and ended up getting an Sp404 MkII as well, because that was also like, you know, I saw a bunch of people making lo-fi there, but I didn't want to spend the Electron money. So the Sp404, the initial one, actually my parents bought me that one. That was like $300 or something like that. And I was able to play with the Sp404 SX, and I had that up until like 2020, 2021. Just messing around with Sp404 just for effects and stuff like that. And I always loved the Sp404. It was cool. It was just, it became more of a desk piece after a while, because, you know, with all the more advanced technologies out there, you know, coming across my desk, because eventually I did get a Digitac, I got a Digatone, got an OPZ, at one point, and that was like my main setup. The SP-404 would, either just absorb whatever I was outputting from those boxes, as a basic bounce machine, and then I'm adding effects on top of that or performing that. And then, there was a time period where I had like the OPZ. It was like hardcore. I was trying to be DAW-less. Like I had the OPZ, Digitac, Digitone set up, and a couple of other pieces, but really those were the main ones. Minilog as well. And then I saw the MPC One, and I was like, sheesh. Let me mess around with the MPC One. The reason why my logic for at that point in time getting the MPC One was for the fact that I felt with my Digitone and Digitac, I lacked the ability to really just like sequence and organize beats. I didn't have the discipline to use Overbridge and run everything through Overbridge, set everything up, and then record parts of a track. So because there was no song mode back then, I was like, all right, let me sacrifice this Digitac and get an MPC One. Loved the MPC One once I got it. It was great. I was able to sequence beats, make more cohesive flowing music that transitioned from one part to the other. It was great, and it was a great experience using the looper, all the sampling capabilities. That was cool. I enjoyed the pad and finger drumming. Finger drumming's great. So that was one aspect I liked, because I could, interact with the drum samples from with the human feel. So that was cool, working with the MPC One for over the past couple of years. And once again, I primarily did that so I could get to this more, I guess, left brain type of music production, organized. But yes, it not within the DAW. I was still like trying not to be in a DAW. But as the past couple of years, Logic Pro and a bunch of other DAWs have advanced tremendously. Like, for instance, Logic Pro recently added the drum sequencer, so that changed the game for me. Like, now I want to make beats in Logic again. I could probably make my best production in Logic, but it's not as fun. You know what I'm saying? I like being in the mix. Well, I think everything I bought up until the Octatrack was to substitute for the Octatrack, because I saw the Octatrack as exorbitant in terms of it was such a high price, over $1,200, $1,300 at the time. This thing has a balloon to like $1,500 now, due to inflation. But I started out, getting these other boxes, but really I wanted the Octatrack, but the Octatrack was crazy, you know what I'm saying? But that Octatrack fader was just like, yo, this is crazy, like what I could do. And I was just hearing the hip hop beats from Voltage Controller. Early on, I was hearing beats from Octavius Monk. It was just really cool what people were doing, and I know there's a bunch of others. Shout out to all Octatrack hip hop heads. They showed that you could make hip hop from these electronic, tailored boxes. So that was pretty cool to see early on, and it made me want to go for the Octatrack. Now, the reason why I kind of took these twists and turns in my journey towards the Octatrack was to avoid the, all the menu diving and everything people complain about online, and the high learning curve. But the high learning curve, it's bullshit. People talk about high learning curve because, if you're lazy, you're not gonna learn it. If you spend time with it, you'll be fine. Just get over it. Like, it's not that crazy. And that's not to be like arrogant or anything. That's just spend time with it. Be humble. Give it an hour of your time here and there. So I got the Octatrack I think it was last year. I got the Octatrack April last year, and ever since I've had the Octatrack, it's taken a lot of my attention, because obviously a lot of brain power and mental activity is taken to operate such a piece of technology or box like this, a sampler. So the MPC started to become like a sort of desk piece because, I mean, yeah, the MPC can be fun, interactive when you're hitting pads, but outside of hitting pads, you're just doing a repetitive pattern. It's not really evolving. Like, yes, you can kind of sort of evolve the beat or whatever piece of music you are making, with added velocity, added flair, added, rolls and stuff like that. But it just didn't do the whole pizzazz thing for me very well. It's very it was very just like, all right, I'm finger drumming, making one pattern, second pattern, third pattern. That's the structure. Now let's mix it. It's a very like record creation oriented tool versus the Octatrack is very in the music, in the mix, transitioning from one part to the other. You can still have that structure, but it's more, it can evolve, right? It's not just a one part, second part, third part, etc. It's an evolution. Like I see music made on the Octatrack. It has the opportunity to be more fluid versus part A, part B, part C, which traditional music is, which is fine. I mean, you kind of need structure in order to gain mass popularity or just awareness and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's kind of boring. But that's how we traditionally make music, and that's how music is structured. And if you're making music to sell, you kind of have to follow a blueprint. I kind of enjoyed lots of like the non-structured, non-linear methods of production and sound creation I saw from other creators making on these electron boxes. So it's gotten me in that direction. So just fast forward to today. Why did I trade in my MPC One for this Mark II? I would say pretty much utility. I wasn't using the MPC One as much. And when it comes down to it, if you already use a DAW, having an MPC One is redundant to having a DAW. It's just having a second DAW. You're not even getting really a different sound. Yes, you're getting a different sound, but it's not like you're getting anything on the, like if you had to compare Logic plus all the dope plugins or Fruity Loops with all the dope plugins versus MPC One with the MPC plugins, come on, bro. I'm using Omnisphere over any MPC synthesizer all day. Like, I'm good. I don't need to make everything within the MPC. I don't want to be held to that limitation. And I know you can use the MPC software online, but I mean not online, but on your computer. But even with that, it's like, why? Like, if you already have a DAW, if you don't, completely understood, MPC gang, shout out to y'all. But if you already have a DAW, it's redundant. I mean, outside of the beat pads, but just get a controller to do the finger drumming if that's really needed. But I mean, outside of showcasing your finger drumming, what's the point of finger drumming if people are just listening to what they're, outside of the feel, you could really give it your own human feel, but outside of that, like, the appeal isn't there for me anymore. So, really, I swapped the MPC One, even though the MPC One is more spec'd out than the Sp404. I swapped these two because this one, it's a newer instrument. It's developing still, but most importantly, it's an effective effector. Like, the effects are amazing, and yeah, MPC has effects too, but this is the added dimensionality of portable. I mean, you could get MPC Live for portability if necessary. But I like the effects on this. I kind of always like the DJ effects looper. I've always liked the sound of the delay. I've always liked the effects on the old unit, and now the effects here are just different and dope. And you have the added features. You have TR mode. You have all this stuff that's pretty cool. I've yet to really delve into this. I could probably make a whole beat with this, and way easier than the SX. And I think the portability, and I could probably perform on the go with this. Anything I make on the Octatrack could probably be just absorbed into this and affected and made completely different. I like this, especially the multi-effects units. So that's really my logic behind, like, you know, trading my MPC One for my Sp404 2, or trading, you know, basically getting this. So my goal is to probably use this either as Q out effect tool, or just as, you know, to record my performances on the Octatrack and then add further effects. I also use this with synthesizers to come up with cool soundscapes. Hydrosynth could probably, you know, supercharge this with like sounds. Like I could really sound design, get into creating packs and stuff like that with this, with the tool that this is. It's really expansive. And yeah, that's really it. Like, you know, again, like I started from an Sp404 SX and it's coming full circle. Now I'm at the Mark II. But really I have the tool that I want to create with, which is the Octatrack Mark II, which has all the dynamics. You add the dynamics plus the effects, it's just ridiculous. Like, I think it's unreal. And then you factor in some synthesizers in there into the mix, my Hydrosynth, my Typhon Dreadbox, and my Slim Fatty Moog. And, you know, honestly, I think I like this setup right now. You know, I like where it's going. And I still have Logic Pro if I want to create additional soundscapes. If I still want to create within the DAW environment, I still have that, but it's not redundant. You know, having redundant pieces in the setup can, like, you know, just there's no efficiency there. It's like, if you're not using something, get rid of it. Like, yeah. So anyways, that's just a little tidbit as to where I'm at with my setup and where I'm going. And hopefully you guys enjoy the next few videos and the next few jams. I'm definitely gonna enjoy this SX. I mean, Mark II. I got Mark II both. Mark II Octatrack, Mark II Sp404. But yo, definitely tune in for the next jam, and peace.